Got it.
Someone asked, what are the criteria for getting a scholarship? Of course, the train's going by. And basically, it's about making a strong, unique contribution. And if we look at the 3 award winners today, they are helping us in very different ways, the ways that are important and exemplify what we're looking for in the track club. And before I start talking about Ben, I want to say that some counselors sort of find us and grow up with us, like Mr. Boyd there, who joined us when he was 5 and has never left, and he's 20, 21, something like that? 20? Okay. So 3/4 of his life he's been with us. And other people I recruit, like this guy here. And I'll tell you a little secret about what I do. I go to the high school meets and I look at kids, boys and girls, and I look, what do they do when they win? What do they do when they lose? How do they treat their teammates or their coach? Or the other competing athletes? And do they have any poise? If they meet all my tests, then I try to recruit them. So last summer I tried to recruit him, and he said, oh, maybe not. So, luckily, we got him in the cross-country season and the winter track season, and actually this is his first summer. And so I'm telling him he's a dark horse. Nobody would have predicted that Ben would be up here. However, my assistant director here, I have 2 assistant directors with Michelle Geddes, who's taking the summer off because she had a baby. And we both thought, yeah, Ben deserves it. Now, but why does Ben deserve it? Ben has an innate and canny ability to interact and engage children. And it's sort of like, have you ever seen Peter Pan? Okay.
Yes.
He's our Peter Pan. Is he a man or is he a boy? But there's something about him. There's that dust in Peter Pan. Ben Barron has dust. He throws around to all the children.
It's adorable.
And it's uncanny, and I hope, 20 years from now, that there's still Peter Pan and Ben Barron. That there's a man, but there's also a boy.
Yeah, this one there. That's it. Woo! Oh, really proud.
Ian Redpath. Is there an Ian
Woo!
Redpath?
So we get it now.
Missing a frisbee game. Okay. So Ian's story. What's Ian's story? Well, Ian's story is sort of the other way around. Somebody might have thought, well, last year why didn't Ian get it? Or why didn't Ian get it the year before? Well, Ian's sort of surprising me. I think he started after 10th grade or 9th grade or whatever, and he was sort of calm, cool, and collected. And my assessment at that time was that, he'll sort of be a run-in-the-mill, counselor, fine. But I started to notice that he was taking things very seriously, his job very seriously, and he was keeping the kids in line. And I said, this guy has, team leader potential. And they say that the current generations don't have a work ethic. They don't look at his work as something to earn money, a job, but they like to do other things in their life. Well, this gentleman here has work ethic. And he also exemplifies something, I don't know if you've heard the term, situational leadership. Anybody heard that term? Okay. So, when he's with his peers, he's a regular guy. But when he's a team leader, he knows it's a different situation. And he's king of that situation, and he's got it under control, and it runs perfectly. And a demonstration of his character came through this year. And that Ian has a full-time job. He works during the day. And most people at his point, I think you're entering your senior year, is it? Junior year.
Yeah.
Junior. You know, they say, I've had track and, I can't, But Ian called me up or sent me an email. I said, John, I could come back, but I wouldn't feel right being team leader because I couldn't be here at 5:45. And there's very few people that have the humility to say, I will return, and I realize that I won't have that big fancy position I had last year, but I'm back, and we're so glad you're back, Ian.
Woo! Yeah, Ian.
And so Kevin Walsh.
Woo!
Kevin Walsh is a different breed, He's not a Ben Barron, and he's not an Ian Walsh. Ian Redpath.
Ian Walsh.
We had a surprising first get-together. I don't know if he remembers this, but I was watching the track team, and Peter was with us. Peter Farlow, for those of you that know. Peter was a good hurdler, and this guy was a good hurdler. And I think maybe Kevin knew who I was and knew who he was, but we never met. You remember this? And he was doing the 400 hurdles. And I think this is the first time he broke 1 minute. And he jumped up and he hugged me. I was at the finish line. Now, I don't know what my training's. I'm not supposed to hug children here. What does one do when a big child hugs you?
Oh my God.
But it was all uphill from there. Now, why does Kevin get this? Well, there's some things about Kevin that are really outstanding, and one is his passion. And I like to think in this world that there's probably 80–90% of the people who are along for the ride. Life's a ride, and whatever happens to you, happens to you. Kevin's not that. Kevin's the one who decides where the path leads. He isn't satisfied to be along for the ride. He wants to determine what happens on that ride. And he always shows initiative and is never failing to commit himself, to do what has to be done. And we're very happy. This year, he's been a team leader for a year or two, and we elevate him to a coordinator this year, and we're so grateful to have him with us. Congratulations.
Woo! Yeah, Kevin.
Maybe we could have all the winners up here. Yes. And maybe somebody could take a picture or two, and maybe we could put in the paper if it. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. Let's go in the paper.
Where's Peter Pan?
Yeah.
Does he look like Peter Pan? Your time will come. You're next.
Yeah, that's kind of what it sounds like.
Okay, so maybe some of you can send us some of those, and
Post them on the Twitter.
if you want to help yourself, we have some goodies here and some water. And thank you for coming.